Okay, well this is in response to the other video that I saw working on an Arctic spa. So I have this problem. This is the plug. It's all blown up and fried. I just had my hot tub moved, and I'm pretty sure what happened is this wasn't completely plugged in when it was moved over, because this thing ran just fine for 2 years at my old place with no problems. Moved it, very first thing that happens, kaboom. So that other video had some good information in it, but it didn't say exactly how to do it. So these are all the pins and testing and blah blah blah. Forget that. Don't even worry about that. So the way this system works, the reason why there's all those pins is because they've hooked up 2 sets of wires in here, because this plug is such a piece of junk that it can't handle all the current. So they figured, well, we'll just run 2 of these in parallel with each other, and that will probably do it. So reading some information, it said basically cut this plug off, hardwire, and it should be fine. But you want to test just to make sure. So the part of the circuit that you want to test on this end is to make sure you have power going to it. So this is 220 coming out of here. To test that, here's your neutral coming in. You get your multimeter. You know, these things you can get for free at Harbor Freight. So you set it for 120 volts or 240 or whatever the range is, and you connect one end to white and the other to one of these, and you should get 120 volts. Then you do the same thing on the other side. One end to white, one end to one of these, and if you have 120 volts on both of these, then you're pretty sure that your circuit board's fine and the unit's running well. To test this part over here, I took off the cover. There's this is the heat pump here. There's 2 Phillips screws, took it off, and then when I took off the cover I realized, oh, this is what's going on inside of here. There's just a couple sets of wires. So all you need to do is measure across these 2. You measure the resistance between this. If it's completely open, if you have no resistance, boom, it's shot. Basically, it's a big giant hair dryer that's inside of here, because it's just or like a like your range top. It's just a coil and it gets hot, so it needs to have a connection. So you measure the resistance between these 2. You should have about 10 ohms of resistance, and that's what the video said, which that was one of the few pieces of information that was pretty good. I tested mine. I had about 10 ohms, so that leads me to believe that my heat pump is fine, and it's just this plug got loose, and that's what caused the problem. So I'm going to cut this and hardwire it and see if I'm successful. Okay, well, she's on and running right now. Don't see any issues. I'm kind of afraid to get too close to this thing, because the way that was happening before, it was sparking and scaring the heck out of me. It had a loud kaboom, because you could see on the plug, you know, it's lost a lot of material on it, so every time it arced, that stuff blew off. It was bad and scary. I didn't know what was going on. I thought the pump was sparking, because I was looking at it at an angle from this angle, and the light was reflecting off the pump, and I'm like, whoa, how is the pump arcing like that? It was just crazy. So this looks like the problem. It's just a bad design plug, and when I moved, it wasn't plugged all the way in and not making good contact, so I'm fairly certain that's what the problem was. So I'm going to leave it uncovered like this for a little while. You can see I got a lot of temporary wire nuts in here right now. This is just temporary, just making sure that the system's going to hold, and then I'll wire it back together, because, you know, once this cover's all on, it'll get hot, and even a little tiny bit of moisture in there, a little bit of humidity, so you want it to be sealed up decently, and you don't want to shock yourself and die.